Good morning, everyone. I hope you've had a lovely weekend and you're ready for the week ahead. In our assembly this week, we are going to focus on our Franche value of nurture. Let's think about what that means and what it might look like. Nurture is how we care or protect someone or something. To start us off, I'd like you to think about how you would care for yourself or a friend who fell over on the playground. What might you see on their face when they fell? What might you hear? What would you do to help? And what do you think an adult might do? Stop the video, have a chat as a class and make a quick list. Off you go. I wonder if you came up with the same list as me. If a friend fell over, what would you do? What would you see? And what would you hear? Well, you might see somebody who looks shocked. They might be crying. They might have a change of colour to their face. Hopefully, you've offered reassurance and comforted them. An adult might come along and clean up the cut and put a plaster on. And this is all really easy to see because it's a physical event in front of you. But how do we nurture and look after someone who's having feelings that are hidden on the inside? This is called our mental health. We all have mental health. It can be good and sometimes it might be a bit wobbly. What do we do about it? How do we nurture our own mental health and that of our friends? One of the things we can do to nurture our own and each other's mental health is to start talking about our feelings. Get used to talking to each other and your families about how you're feeling in various situations. You'll find naturally that you give each other advice and reassurance, and this will soon make you feel better. Other things that you could do is to write your worries down. You could keep a journal or a diary. You could draw a picture about your worry, and that will help you to manage the emotions. One of the most important things that I'd like you to do is to talk to a safe adult. That safe adult might be at home or might be at school. You probably have a particular adult that you're most comfortable talking to. But please remember that all adults in school are safe. They're there to listen, to comfort you, to give you a bit of advice, and most importantly, to make sure that you are safe and happy. So if you have any worries that you can't manage, find an adult in school that you're comfortable with and have a chat with them. Final strategy I wanted to mention today is the worry monsters that we have in school. I've left a secret worry monster on your teacher's chair for you this morning. You could write your worry down on the post-it note and pop it in your worry monster's mouth. He will gobble up the worry. You could also use it as a way to communicate to your class teacher that you'd like to talk about anything that's going on. So find a little safe place for these in your classroom and please use them if you're feeling worried or anxious. Conquer the Chameleon by Hannah Peckham. Conquer the Chameleon was just like all the others. There wasn't that much difference between him and his brothers. From when he hatched, the likenesses were there for all to see. His sticky tongue and curly tail matched almost perfectly. But something niggled at him as he watched the hatchlings play. There was one thing quite different. Maybe it would change one day. Yet as the weeks went by, Conquer grew sadder and seemed duller, and soon the others noticed too. He could not change his colour. Now humans tend to think this special colour change takes place, so chameleons can hide if their enemies give chase. And yet this isn't true, and what's the harm in me revealing? In fact, it's all about how chameleons are feeling. They turn a vivid yellow if fearfulness is present, and a happy shade of green, which is really rather pleasant. Blue is for their sadness, like rough waves on stormy oceans, and red is angry, raging bright, uncomfortable emotions. Over time their words were lost and the colours took their place. The need to talk and listen just seemed gone without a trace. Eventually their colour was the only way to tell how chameleons were feeling, but it didn't work that well. Conquer tried his hardest, but the difference made him muddled. A big fat tear rolled down his face as he was feeling troubled. Yet on this morning Conquer, a determined little chap, resisted the temptation to extend his morning nap. Instead, quite out of nowhere, just as these things often do, an idea popped into his head and he shouted, "Woohoo! Chameleons can shed their skin. You see, it's very clever. They grow so fast it doesn't fit and comes off altogether." If they had no use for what was shed, bright blue, red and green, a recycled coat of colours would make his feelings seen. He would no longer feel alone and they would understand whatever he was going through and lend a helping hand. In all of the excitement and of course now wide awake, Conker fell into the path of Sam, a hungry snake. As you have learned, chameleons turn yellow out of fright, but Conker's dull skin went unseen, as snakes have bad eyesight. Conker grabbed his chance, escaping easily. He avoided being lunch because snakes can't really see. He carried on his journey, slightly shaken from the fright, then saw two red chameleons having the loudest fight. Conker stopped to listen to what each of them had said, but their fight made him confused, so he stopped and scratched his head. As he heard the two friends argue, an idea began to glisten. These pals would only fix their rift if they could stop and listen. "Now look here," he shouted. He felt bold on this occasion. "It seems to me you've clearly had a miscommunication." So the two friends listened well to what the other had to say. And with that, Conker's job was done and he went off on his way. Conker's coat would need some blue for now to show his sorrow, yet tired from his day, he thought he'd leave it till tomorrow. Just then he spotted something from the corner of his eye. It was a blue chameleon who seemed about to cry. He waited for a moment as he hoped not to intrude, then clearly his throat, and he spoke the words, "I hope this isn't rude. I notice you look very glum there sitting by yourself, but talking about how you feel can help your mental health." So they shared some of their worries, not the easiest thing to do, yet sat in peaceful friendship with a little sniff from Blue, then slowly came to realise guessing feelings every day based on someone else's colour was not really the best way. Then they noticed that by talking, their sadness now seemed shifted. The cloud that hung there just before had seemed to have lifted. Saying how you feel inside is not all that hard really. Just talk to someone that you trust, who cares about you dearly. Conker was excited to have made another friend and walked back to his branch now that the day was at an end. He climbed the tree as quickly as his tired feet would allow, a smile upon his face, for things seemed different now. Although his world was just the same as it had been before, something inside him had changed, he thought, and then he thought some more. Not turning vivid yellow had saved him from the snake. He also helped two friends to overcome their big mistake. And surely a recycled coat might seem a little bonkers. His own skin may seem different, but at least it was all Conker's. Guessing mood is tricky, so a coat just wouldn't do. He had to tell them how he felt so everybody knew. He drifted off to sleep, not knowing what may lie ahead. Yes, he still couldn't change his colour, but he could use his words instead. And with that twinkling of a thought, his eyes closed dreamily, and he whispered to himself, "It's pretty awesome being me." I hope you enjoyed the story. I think we can learn a lot from Conker. If you have any worries, there's lots of strategies that you can use to help solve them and help your mental health. Most importantly, talk to a safe and trusted adult. In school, remember, we're all here to help you. Find someone that you're comfortable with to have a chat, share your worry, and I'm sure that they will help you solve it. Let's reflect. We're going to watch the candle at the end, and I want you to think about who in school is your trusted adult. Who would you go to if you had a little worry and you wanted some help? Have some time to think, and I hope you have a lovely week.